Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast and to Villa AM on this 14th of October. And I must apologise. Went on a bit of a hiatus for a couple of days, but this was not an intentional hiatus. We were in a bit of YouTube jail for a crime we did not commit, but all is good in the world, and we've been released. And now, hopefully, we're going to get as many of these out over the next couple of days as we possibly can to get you towards Aston Villa again in the Premier League. Before we get started, though, I just want to let everybody know about a prize that Football Prizes is running at the moment for 2 hospitality tickets for Aston Villa versus Manchester United. There's only 99 tickets available for this. It does end on the 15th of October at 7 p.m. And if you want to get in for this draw, you can buy a ticket for £6.49, and you can do so using the QR code in the top of the screen there, or else using the link that you see in the comments on this podcast also. So that's Football Prizes. They're very good to us, and if you guys want to be in with a chance to win an Aston Villa versus Manchester United 2 hospitality tickets, and it's a low odds draw with only 99 tickets available, you could be in with a chance to win that. So go and check those guys out. Now, what I wanted to do today, everybody, is I want to talk about Unai Emery's good problem. What I like to think is a good problem, because look, a lot of these things that I've done here, and this one probably won't be 8 minutes today. I'll go a small bit over. A lot of these podcasts that I've done have kind of been an example of 2 players, or I suppose showing the dichotomy between 2 players, or else just showing a kind of a polarizing player and maybe discussing them. But I want to discuss these 2 guys here as well, because sometimes your eyes can not really tell you what goes on, and sometimes you can almost, get yourself into a situation where you really want one to succeed over the other. And I think that Unai Emery couldn't be further from that when we look at these 2 players, when we look at them in a moment. And I think that this season he's kind of interchanged these guys very well. He's utilized them very well, and utilized them pretty fairly, I think, as well. Both of them, and the reason I said that is they're very much so a horses for courses situation. Obviously, we know Pau Torres isn't going to be your typical UK defender. He's not going to barrel through the back of somebody to win a header. He's not going to he's not going to be one of these big robust defenders. And likewise, while Tyrone Mings is good with the ball at his feet, he's very much a guy who's able for the rough and tumble, able to get in and around big strikers, and works his body well in that instance. Pau Torres being, I think, 29 years of age, and Tyrone Mings being 32 years of age, I think one is dovetailing nicely with the other. But let's take a little look at both of these players and how they've fared out so far this season, and discuss them more, and discuss maybe why I think this is a good problem for Unai Emery. So let's start first of all with Pau Torres. So Pau Torres has played 7 games so far this season, totaling 556 minutes. Now, in that time period that he has been on the field, Aston Villa have, so that GA that you can see there is goals against. Aston Villa have only conceded 4 goals in the time that he's been on the field. Now, they've also, while that time he's been on the field, they've scored 9 goals. That's in all competition. So that goes to show, Pau Torres is somebody who moves the ball a bit better, plays the ball progressively, and likes to get passing the ball as well. In that period of time, those 556 minutes, he's had 9 tackles. He's won 6 of them. He's had 5 shots blocked, he's blocked 5 shots, should I say. He's a 90.9% pass completion rate, and he's had 20 progressive passes with 1 error that I'm sure we can all remember, and that was against Brentford. And look, I think, obviously with Pau Torres, he's that more cultured kind of left foot player, and we've seen him come into his own in the last few games as we've started to win games again. He's played quite well. And he's tried to carry that ball forward out of defense and pass that ball as well. Things that we've associated with Pau Torres, things that we saw with him from when he first came into this team. And Unai Emery likes that. And Unai Emery will continue to go to him for that, because, as I say, he's very much using these 2 guys as a horses for courses type of kind of marriage, I suppose, between these 2 guys as well. When we look at Pau Torres, we look at these statistics over the last 365 days, it basically, just spells it out on the page here for you. What you see with Pau Torres is exactly what happens. it's exactly what happens. So his pass completion rate, his progressive pass rate, his progressive carry rate, the fact he's able to carry that ball out, the amount of touches that he gets, they're all his attributes and strengths. And that's what he's always been labeled at. You know, that's always been the tag that's followed him around the place. You look at his defensive contributions, he doesn't do a whole lot of them, doesn't tackle an awful lot, doesn't get blocks in an awful lot, and so on. His aerial ability is not great. So Pau Torres, I think, he's very much a guy for a specific game, and we all know that, and we expect to see we expect that at this stage. Now Tyrone Mings, on the other hand, Tyrone Mings, what do we think of Tyrone Mings? We think of this big brutish defender, and that's what he is. But I mentioned his age there recently, 32 years of age, some bad injuries he's had in his career, 2 bad ACLs, and he's not getting any younger. In those 6 games, he's played 481 minutes. We've conceded 6 goals while he's been on the field, and we've only scored 1 goal in those 481 minutes. Now, that's not all down to Tyrone Mings. Jesus, don't get me wrong. We have this fantastic record of not losing games when he's in the team. Of the ratio of games that we don't lose when he's in the team. But the big thing for me, so that isn't the statistic that jumps out for me, but the big thing for me is so far this season, Tyrone Mings has only made 2 tackles while he's been on the field, and he's won 1 of those. So his ability, as I said before, the Tyrone Mings that we've seen, it was a tackling giant and so on. He's not going to ground as much anymore as time kind of catches up with him, and he's trying to be that bit more cultured defender, which is to be expected. This is not a knock or a negative in Tyrone Mings. I don't want anybody to think this is me favoring one over the other. It's just kind of what we're seeing, I suppose, in this current season so far. Still, though, he's trying his body on the line, blocking 5 shots, something he's been brilliant at through the course of his whole career. His pass completion rate has gone up, actually, would you believe, over the course of the last 2 seasons. He's now at 89.3% pass completion rate. And when Tyrone Mings first came to Aston Villa and under Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard, his pass completion rate was not as high as that. He would try an awful lot of longer balls. And there weren't his pass completion rate. I'm actually just trying to bring it up here if I can find it to hand. He was coming in at around the 80. Yeah, I can see it here. 85.2, 79.3, 77.5, 77.5. Going back 78.4. So he was always in the 70s. Unai Emery has brought this guy on to be that more cultured passer. This is why I wanted to say that the fact that Tyrone Mings and Pau Torres together being in this team are a good problem to have, because both of them are learning from each other and both of them are trying to adapt their games slowly. And I will say slowly because it is a slow process, particularly for Pau Torres. But what we would the cast iron kind of opinions we have in these guys may change over the course of the season as we see them try and implement the changes to their play style that we may see. As time catches up, maybe with Tyrone Mings, or as Pau Torres gets more used to the Premier League, or is asked to do more within the Premier League. And another thing that I want to highlight here as well is progressive passes for Tyrone Mings. He has 27 progressive passes so far this season. So passing that ball forward is becoming more of his bread and butter. And we're not talking about just those long diagonal balls he used to play. Talking about more intricate passes, into midfield, bypassing midfield, trying to get them into Morgan Rogers. Do they stick? Have they stuck? Evidently not, because Morgan Rogers hasn't had his best start to the season. But that's not to say that he's not doing the right thing and playing those balls. Again, a further potential look, and this small sample set that we have to say, a further, again, potential look at maybe the change in Tyrone Mings' game that we're seeing under Unai Emery. And also, I want to point out here as well is he doesn't make errors. For somebody who always had a rick in him, throughout the course of his career so far, in this 481 minutes, he hasn't made any errors so far that have led to goal scoring chance or a goal creating opportunity as well. So, Tyrone Mings adapting the way he plays in the early part of this season. Pau Torres as well, also adapting the way that he plays, because when we highlight the two of them, like when we look at the two of them, Mings 2 tackles, 1-1. Pau Torres 9 tackles, 6-1. We would have expected the two of those to be flipped around. We would have also expected the progressive passes to be flipped around. So both of them are learning. It's slow changes to their game, but they're changes nonetheless. And I think that they are positive changes. For Tyrone Mings as well, once we see it over the last 365 days, we can see again the aerial ones thing here is brilliant. Like, he's just always going to be fantastic in the air. I didn't put the aerial percentage in the previous piece because, look, it's just not a fair fight. It's not a fair fight, and we know that one is good in the air and one isn't that great in the air. But what we're beginning to see with Tyrone Mings is he's becoming a more rounded defender. He's becoming a more calm, composed, and as I said there a moment ago, rounded defender. And long may that continue for him, because the more composed he gets in the ball and the less time that he kind of spends, using his natural athleticism, which will let him down because it lets everybody down. Father Time is undefeated. The more composed and cultured he gets on that ball and can utilize it the way that Unai Emery wants, well, the more longevity he will have in his career and in his game as well. So that's Tyrone Mings, and that is Pau Torres, and that is why I think that Unai Emery, it's a good problem that Unai Emery has to select from the two of those guys. So thanks so much, everybody, for your time. Apologies about the couple of podcasts off. But we'll rock it on here now, straight through every day this week until we get proper Premier League football back once more. Thanks so much, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up.
It's Villa in the morning with Villa AM. It's Villa in the morning with Villa AM.